up on science.
Okay, so who here did think antimatter was science fiction? Everyone believes in antimatter except for Phil. Look at that. So antimatter is not science fiction, and it also turns out that our galaxy is full of it. So every single second, there are 5 million billion positrons, that's the antimatter counterpart of the electron, annihilating. Every single second. Yeah, that's right. But where are they coming from? And this is the big question. Where are they coming from? We just don't know. But it turns out that medical science may be able to help us find the answer. So this is the machine I like to call the big, clicky, whirry machine. Anyone who's ever been inside one of these will attest to just how loud they are. This is a positron emission tomography scanner, and its role is to locate positrons, antimatter that's been injected into your body to diagnose tumours, cancer. It can even map how your brain is functioning. So if you inject it into my brain right now, after one beer, well, how does it do it? Well, what you do is you take a normal innocuous piece of sugar and you bond a dirty grey radioactive fluorine atom to it and you inject it into your patient. Okay, this is so far sounding even worse than what the Milky Way is doing to dwarf galaxies. Okay, so one thing that cancer cells really, really love is glucose. They're very energy hungry, so this glucose gets transported straight to those cancer cells. Now, once in those cancer cells, the fluorine will decay into oxygen, and it produces antimatter. It produces a positron. It also produces a neutrino, but we don't really care about the neutrino. If you hold up your hand right now, billions of neutrinos passing through it. But, you know, who cares? So, this positron, now inside your body, will find its normal matter counterpart, the electron, and poof, it annihilates. And out comes a burst of gamma rays. And the gamma rays are picked up by this magical, clicky, whirry, bangy machine. So what you will see in the scanner is this big, bright blob of gamma rays coming from your cancer cell. Now, this is the big, clicky, bangy, whirry machine in space. It's actually called Integral. It's a very imaginative name. And its job is to find annihilating antimatter in the galaxy through exactly the same process. The only problem is, we don't know where the antimatter got injected into the galaxy, and we don't know what injected it. So we've kind of got the reverse problem to the doctors. So what happens here? So the gamma rays from the annihilating positrons are detected by the big, clicky, bangy, whirry thing in space. So in order to do that, a positron has to find an electron, and the particles annihilate. Poof, out come your gamma rays. But where are the positrons actually coming from? That's what we don't know. And that's what we've not known for around about 50 years. Okay, so here is our body. So that's actually the human liver, and it's got a big dirty tumour in it that the doctor's going to cut out and save the person. Woo! I think this person survived. I hope. Otherwise I'll feel very guilty. So, what does our galactic PET scan look like? You all saw a flash of this. Well, it looks something like this. You have a lot of positrons annihilating in that light blue area. You have a lot of positrons annihilating in the pale blue area. There just seems to be more annihilating in that middle area. So, how many are there? So, there will be a test at the end. I expect your answers by tomorrow morning. There are lots, okay? Just to put it simply, 5 million billion annihilating every single second. So I can do the Bono thing, where I click my fingers, and I annihilate 5 million billion positrons. Yeah, it's a really, really big number. I can't get my head around how big that number is. So whereabouts do they like to be? Well, turns out they mostly like to hang out around very, very old stars. Old stars are apparently really good company. They listen to better music. So that should say billion, not million. I'm sorry. I'm a terrible anally retentive person. But, yeah. Okay, but what is producing them? Well, It's definitely beta plus decay, so it's exactly the same process, this radioactive decay, just like in a medical PET scan. But where are these particles, these radioactive nuclei coming from? So my diagnosis, I'm going to be a doctor soon. It's only like another 2.5 years, maybe. And a hell of a lot of writing, you're right. And then Matthew has to like say that it was good enough or something. Yeah.
Buy Matthew a drink, quick.
Okay, so my diagnosis is that they're coming from supernovae. And can everyone see the little crosshairs? This is basically our little tumour that's glowing with annihilating positrons in another galaxy. They're really hard to spot in our galaxy. They only blow up like once every 500 years, and I don't have 500 years to do my PhD. So we have to look at them in other galaxies, and these ones are weirdos. I like weirdos. They're called 91Bg like supernovae. They all supernovae have like phone number names. You start remembering them eventually. But these supernovae are weird. They also like to hang out with old stars. So they like Bon Jovi and stuff. They produce a hell of a lot of titanium. Titanium's very important because titanium decays to produce positrons, a little bit like fluorine. And one of the big questions which I now have to answer over the next 2.5 years is, do they occur at the right rate in our galaxy to explain where all the positrons are coming from? So let's put this all together. So what do? We use 2 big telescopes, one in Chile, one in New South Wales, and we look for these supernovae. This telescope here finds what sort of supernova it is, and this one here confirms how far away it is. We put all of this information together with a whole bunch of horribly complicated math, and it tells us how often these supernovae occur in galaxies just like our own. And so this is the big question. So, what does our diagnosis look like? Well, let's work backwards. Gamma rays detected by our clicky-bangy worry machine in space. The positrons have to annihilate to produce those gamma rays. And they are coming from titanium, which decays to calcium. Well, via scandium. That's not important either. Decays to calcium and emits a positron and a neutrino, but they're not important either. So in order to get this titanium, you have to have one of these big-ass supernova explosions. Weirdo supernova explosions. And in order to get those, the stars which form these have to form around about 5 billion years before that supernova actually happens. One thing to note, just like all science, different galaxy doctors may have differing opinions, but 8 out of 10 doctors would agree. Thank you very much.